morning to all of you, and thank you to the press club for helping us to reach out to the media. Big thanks. Really appreciate the effort and the willingness to be part of a nation-changing movement, actually. We really welcome your partnership, because without the media, I don't think we can reach out to the millions of people, and more importantly to the innumerable stakeholders in this field of rare diseases. Dr. Krishnaji has just told you what rare diseases are, in the sense that, I'll just put it in another way. It is a day to observe and remind ourselves of a large population across all countries, all communities, genders, castes, economic strata, of people who suffer silently. People whose problems are not visible to others because they are so entrenched into the problem that it is difficult for them alone to reach out and seek solutions for their problems. These are people who suffer from what is defined as a rare disease. In India, we do not have a definition for rare diseases. Anything that is rare and causes an affliction enough to cause suffering should be a rare disease. So if you look at that, the number of diseases, the number of disorders that would come under this description themselves range to, even a known list has 7,000 disorders and diseases that are classified as rare diseases. But as science advances, as technology advances, as we communicate to the world more effectively, possibly more and more disorders and diseases will get identified and be included among the rare diseases. From among all these 7,000 or even more rare diseases, there are about 300 which are more common among them. But they are rare as far as the population is concerned. So in India, what could be considered rare but affects a certain proportion or percentage of people will still amount to a huge number. So if we look at the incidence and extrapolate and think about what could be the magnitude of rare diseases burden in our country, it would be about 30 million, 700. Dr. Radha Ramadevi corrects me and says it's not anywhere near what I'm saying. 700 million. 700 million. Can you imagine? That's probably a couple of or 3 nations in the world. Probably 3 nations across the globe will constitute the burden that our nation is blissfully unaware of. So we are here to raise awareness. The kind of issues that are related with rare diseases are innumerable. On one hand, the plight of the people who are afflicted. On the other hand, the families that live with the burden and the problems that are associated with diseases, because they have to fight a battle for which solutions are not easily available. Access to facilities are not available even in terms of diagnosis. So there are many children, many patients who are there out in our community who do not even have the basic diagnostic precision to what afflicts them. What is their suffering due to? That is a diagnosis. So we have the suffering of the patients, the families, inaccessibility and non-availability of diagnostic facilities, and then reaching the right expert. There are not too many experts in our country who are familiar with how to deal with rare diseases. So even within the medical profession, there are not too many people who are comfortable, conversant, or willing to take on the care of these afflicted people. So that is the fourth problem within this multifactorial scenario. And then of course, if there is a professional who knows exactly what to do, then you need to reach out to the management aspect, which is probably the availability of a specific drug or an agent that will help them to tackle their issue, the basic issue in their body. So the pharmaceutical industry, its willingness, its access, the availability of a drug, first of all availability, and then availability on a continuing basis are also issues that these families have to contend with. Since more than 50% of these rare diseases are actually, they manifest during childhood. About 80% of all rare diseases are due to inherited problems, and our expert Dr. Radha Ramadevi will expand on that issue. 80% of them are inherited, so that the disease occurs, nobody has a control over, is what we think. But if we were to have a population that becomes aware of how inheritance of diseases can happen, we can probably intervene and cause prevention of the birth of certain inherited rare diseases. For example, the classical example is the large population of children who are with us in our region suffering from one of the most common rare disease in blood, which is the thalassemia. If we knew, and if our public knew, if our common man knew, if our professionals knew, if our gynecologists are aware and can help counsel the pregnant woman, and or the woman even before she gets pregnant, if our youth, that is the potential prospective parents in our population, were aware that thalassemia can be prevented, sickle cell disease can be prevented, hemophilia can be prevented, we would be serving an excellent purpose in society. We would be able to create a future that is definitely more healthy than what it is now. So we can all contribute in terms of awareness, because we know that most of them are inherited disorders, and if we knew who are the people who are carrying this abnormality, we could help them by counseling and establishing their genetic status, identity, to help them choose a partner and therefore stop the propagation of these disorders. So there are numerous things that all of us can do. We need not be medical experts. We need not be brilliant scientists. We need not be trained in any specific thing. Just a lot of goodwill, a lot of ability to empathize with people who go through this can play a role in our community. And that, I think, for that there is nothing that is a barrier. There is no barrier to empathy. What do you need? You just need to understand what it feels like to be in another man's shoe. You don't need to wear that shoe to know that it bites. You can see the pain and you can see the suffering, and that can help you to talk about it, share your experience, connect them to the right people so that they get access to what is right for them.